will be nothing like you imagine it to be. You basically want to be a tryhard. They will eat that up every time. Like, this is tough love, you guys. Hey, what's up? My name's Jordan. Welcome back to my channel. We're getting so consistent, guys, and I'm loving it. I'm feeling it. This was right? So today is a video that I've been wanting to make for a while. Just because these are the type of videos that I was literally searching up like not even 3 years ago, and I think it's so important to have them when you're going through such a hard time of trying to figure out how to apply for colleges. Now, I applied to maybe 7 or 8 schools. I ended up at UCLA. I've been going here for 2 years now. I'm going into my junior year this quarter. I just wanted to make this video for anybody who wants to go to UCLA and kind of has no idea where to start. Maybe you're a junior, or maybe you're a sophomore or a freshman or whatever, but that's so disrespectful. But maybe you're a junior, maybe you're a sophomore, maybe you're a freshman, and you just want to kind of hear somebody else's experience of how they got into UCLA, what their grades were like, what their essays were like, and what they think UCLA is looking for. And yeah, I hope this video might help you out with that. I do want to preface this video by saying that what worked for me will not work for everyone. You could probably do every little thing that I did personally in high school and still not get into UCLA, or still not get into whatever school you want to go to. It really is honestly a game of chance. There are things that they look for and attributes that they want their students to have, but ultimately, like, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. It all depends. It's all dependent, okay? Please know that. All right. So I want to break this video up into 4 or 5 different parts. The first part, I just want to go over my personal story, how I got into UCLA, what my grades were like, everything like that. Then I want to talk a little bit about what UCLA considers, like verbatim, like this is what they've said that they consider. And then maybe we'll go over my essays, and then yeah, we'll just wrap it up. And that was a lot of words. Are you still with me? Okay, awesome. So we'll start with my own personal story. So I went to a private Catholic high school. We were a very small school. It was probably 100 kids in my freshman class and probably like 90 when we graduated. So it was a very small school. I loved my high school. I had a great time at that high school. The thing about that high school though is that we didn't have all of the extracurriculars or AP classes or whatever that other schools with bigger student sizes had. It was still a very distinguished school, and I consider myself very lucky to have gone there. Getting kids into college was their MO, and I mean, it worked. I'm in college. So starting off with my extracurriculars, so I was in student council all 4 years. I was a part of the varsity cheer team all 4 years. I was a part of this program called Project Lead the Way for 3 years. It was a 3-year program, so I'll go more into detail about that once we get into like the courses that I took. I was a part of something called music ministry for 3 years. So like I said, it was a Catholic school, so we had music ministry. And then I was also in theater for 2 years, and I started a debate team for 1 year. I want to say I started it my senior year, co-started it. Yeah, and then I also just had 4 years of community service, which it was a requirement for my school. So my freshman year, we'll start there. I took, due to scheduling conflicts, I was in a higher level of math. So I think most students that year, most freshmen that year, were taking like pre-algebra or something. I don't really remember, but I was already in geometry, which was a sophomore year math class. It was due to a scheduling conflict with my Project Lead the Way class. So this Project Lead the Way class, PLTW, it was a program that they offered to certain high schools, and basically it's like a STEM program. And so I think that first year it was like biomedical sciences, and then like the next year human body systems, and then my last year I think it was medical intervention, something like that. Yeah, so it was 3 years. I took it my freshman year, my sophomore year, junior year I did chemistry, and then senior year I did the class again. And then I was also in honors English due to my testing scores, because I had to test to get into the school. And yeah, I was also in ASB and cheer. I was doing a lot for a little freshman, but I remember like not even wanting to take the Project Lead the Way program, and my mom was kind of like, no, you should do it. And I did it, and I honestly loved it. It was so cool to be in the same class with the same group of kids for 3 years, and we all kind of like learned from each other. And I just enjoyed the course material as well. It was really interesting, and it wasn't just basic like science. Like it actually, I could see it going somewhere. Oh my god. I swear to god, all the animals in this house are on my list. I've been having so many disruptions because of my cats and the dog. The dog is acting out, y'all. Anyways, I enjoyed the Project Lead the Way program. I enjoyed the subject matter, and yeah, I had a good time in that class, and I loved the teachers. So I was really happy that I did it. And same thing with ASB. It was a good experience to be in a leadership role, and even though I was never president or anything like that, like just being a part of that group, I really feel like taught me so much about leadership, and also made me stand out among other students that were also applying for UCLA. And like I said, I was taking a sophomore level math class, I was taking honors English, and I was taking the STEM program. But if you're taking big classes and harder classes than what you're expected to, you want to still be doing well in them. So I was getting A's and B's in these classes. Like I don't think, in my entire high school career, I think I got 4 B's and the rest were A's. And so you want to be able to be doing well in these classes. Don't take the hardest classes if you don't think you can get above a C in them. Obviously, I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from taking a harder class than what is expected or what they're required to take. I'm just trying to really make sure that you guys know that if you're taking hard classes, like, you don't want to burn yourself out or stretch yourself too thin. Obviously challenge yourself, but also know that these classes might take a little bit more work than any other class that you're in. For these programs and these math classes, they were the classes that stressed me out the most, and the ones that in turn I had to work the hardest to do well in, which is completely fine. It just requires a little bit more effort, but you've got to just be confident with it. Get help from your teachers, get help from your peers. Like, it's not impossible to do well in higher level classes at all. So my sophomore year, like I said, I was ahead in math, so I was still ahead, but this year I was now in honors algebra 2 maybe. And so, like I said, I was doing well in those classes. So I took honors algebra 2, I was in honors English again, and then I was in honors world history, and I also joined music ministry this year. So I was getting involved in school. I was still in ASB, I was still on the cheer team, so doing a lot. My junior year is when I took my first AP class. I took an AP English course, and I did well in it. I ended up taking the AP test as well, and I got a 4, but we're gonna get into it, because junior year is when things got weird for me. And then I was in regular math that year, but I was still a grade ahead, and I was in pre-calculus. My school offered community college courses, so it was like 1 each semester, and so I took those. I also took honors Spanish 2, honors chemistry instead of the Project Lead the Way program. This year I took chemistry, and then I also had SAT prep, and I was also in the play, and I ended up helping write a few of the scenes in the play, which I also included in my applications. But my junior year personally was 2019-2020, so that's when COVID happened that March. And literally, like, guys, I cannot make this up, the way the Lord smiled on me, because I have always hated the institution of SATs, ACTs, like all of that. I hated it. I hated the idea that this one test depends on so much of your college career, and like, people aren't offered the same resources. Like, I heard kids doing like $12,000 worth of SAT prep, and I'm like, I just don't have the money for that. I don't have the money for that. I don't have the time for that. And these kids are getting to like Princeton and all these good schools and stuff like that, and I'm just like, whoa, I can't do all that. But I was so anxious and so stressed out about taking this one little test, and it turns out that Friday, March the 13th, I was supposed to take the SAT that next day, so Saturday, March the 14th, and it got canceled because of COVID, and then it just never got picked back up. And then so many schools dropped the SAT. I mean, I think all schools dropped the requirement for the SAT that particular year, but I know UCs, at least UCLA, they don't require it anymore either. So God really smiled on me, because I don't know what that test score would have been. I never took the SAT. I'm not a bad test taker. It's just, it was just too much pressure for that one test, and I was already so stressed out that I just didn't need it. I didn't need it. And it worked out. It worked out for me. So yeah, the AP exam did end up being online because we were in quarantine by the time it happened. So a lot of kids didn't take it. I decided to take it because English has always been my strong suit, and I ended up getting a 4. I was really happy about that, and I was really proud. And yeah, that actually ended up satisfying my writing 1 requirement. So once I started UCLA, I didn't have to take an English class. I only had to take writing 2. And I've taken that already, so I'm officially done with English, which is so sad, but thank you. No more essays, thank you. And then yeah, like I said, I took a community college course, and it also satisfied a prerequisite that UCLA requires for probably not every major, but at least in the colleges of letters and science, which I'm in. I'm a psychology major. They required this diversity requirement, and so it was already satisfied because I had taken these courses. And yeah, so I basically came into college with a few classes ticked off my belt, which is always good, because it's hard to get into courses. It's hard. A lot of people think the senior year isn't important because obviously you're applying like early senior year or end of junior year, and they think that they don't really take into account like what grade you're in or what extracurriculars you're doing your senior year. That is not the case. They still want to look at your grades, and they want to look at what you're involved in to make sure that you're not just the type of person who does so many big things those first 3 years and is like, okay, now I'm going to coast my senior year. They want to make sure that you still have a rigorous schedule, you still are involved in all these things. Senior year, I still got good grades. This year was mostly online for me because of COVID, but I think I got all A's. I took community college courses again. This time it was for English. I started an online debate team with a friend of mine. I was still in theater, in cheer, in music ministry, all those things. And I did my last Project Lead the Way class. They definitely look to see what classes you've been taking in the past, and if like they saw that I'd been taking a higher level of math every single year, and so if I had just not taken math my senior year, which was an option, it might not have looked as good. I took AP Calculus my senior year. I didn't even take the AP test because just no. There were literally like 4 kids in my class, and it was because it wasn't a requirement. It was kind of an extra thing to do, and I don't regret doing that. I genuinely feel like it set me apart because I didn't have to do that. You know, I'd already started applying to the schools. My grades were already in. Like, they technically weren't really going to be looking at this, but they could easily get up my schedule and my roster and like what classes I'm a part of. So that was basically my story. Yeah, I applied to a few schools. One of my biggest schools was Stanford. I wanted to go to Stanford because I knew I was going to be a psychology major, and I knew that they were like #1 in psychology. So I ended up actually applying early admission. I didn't get in. I had an interview and everything, and the interview went so well, and I still didn't get in. So it's fine. I'm not hurt. I'm genuinely not hurt about it. I literally sit now like at UCLA and I'm thinking like I would never have wanted to go there. I'm genuinely so happy at UCLA, and I'm so glad that that's the college I chose. I remember when decisions came out and I was literally sitting in the car with my mom, and I was like, I can't look. Like, I can't do it. I genuinely can't do it. And so I had her look, and I was like, don't tell me yes, don't tell me no. It was like right before a football game, so I'm pretty sure, I don't think I had to cheer, but because it was still COVID times, but I just remember like sitting in that car and I was like, please just don't tell me. And she just like looked at me and I was like, stop, did I get in? And I was genuinely so excited, and yeah, I was really happy. But out of all of those schools that wanted me, that didn't want me, that kind of wanted me but weren't sure, like out of all those schools, if I had them lined up and I'd gotten into every single one, I probably still would have chosen UCLA. So I truly think everything works out for a reason, and everything happens for a reason, and yeah, I'm really glad that I'm where I'm at. Second part we're going to talk about is what UCLA considers. So just to begin, UCLA does have an acceptance rate of 11%, which is, it's pretty low, but it's higher than other colleges, so you still have a chance. If you live in California, the in-state fees to go there will be much cheaper. I think we got like, I think to apply it was less money as well. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like it was. think living or not living in California has any impact on whether you get accepted though. So don't worry about that. They take students in from a variety of places, so do not stress. If you're from New York and you really want to go to UCLA and you're like, I'm not going to get in over somebody who's lived in LA their entire life, don't stress. Like I said earlier, UCLA does not require ACT or SAT scores, but if you have them and they're good, can definitely benefit you. A good score does not hurt when it comes to like what courses you're put into. They also don't require you to tell them your AP scores. But like I said, if you have a good score and you feel confident in it, it definitely cannot hurt you. Like me turning in my AP English score helped me not have to take a class that everybody and their mom was trying to get into. So it cannot hurt. So UCLA says that they consider a few things. So they consider achievement in high school or college coursework, personal qualities, likely contributions to the intellectual and cultural vitality of the campus, achievement in academic enrichment programs, other achievements in any field of intellectual or creative endeavor, including the performing arts, athletics, community service, etc. And they do not take any letters of recommendation. So for me, I was like, thank you, because I hated having to ask people for letters of recommendation. Don't worry about that. They don't want it. They don't care. But let's talk about those things that they say that they consider. So achievement in high school or college coursework, they just want to see that you're taking the most rigorous classes. They want to see that you're doing well in them. And they just want somebody that tries, honestly. I genuinely think if more people tried, it would make such a difference. So try. Even if you fail, try. They look for good personal qualities. I think UCLA's biggest thing is trying to imagine what their campus is going to look like. So they want to fill their campus with people who are going to go above and beyond what they're expected to do. And they really do value like adults that they think will make UCLA better. They want people who will get involved in clubs and organizations and everything. Just model students. If you're in sports, do sports. If you're in arts, do arts. If you can do both, do both. They really look at stuff like that. Try and get some community service in there as well if you can. Can't hurt. Yeah, just do all the things that you think you can handle. Don't do too much. Do not burn yourself out, because like you're gonna start slipping in the things that are really important, like your grades and your mental health. Oh my god, you'll be so stressed out that you can't even think, which I definitely reached that point a few times. So don't overwork yourself. Chill out. You don't have to do 1,000,001 things to get into this one college, and if you do, then you're probably not meant to go there. That's the way the cookie, like, this is tough love, you guys. Every college isn't going to be perfect for you if you feel like you need to completely change the type of person you are and the type of student you are to go there. So their personal insight questions, they don't require the letters of recommendation, and you don't really have to do like a super long essay, but they do have these personal insight questions that you have to answer with a max of 350 words. For me, somebody who loves writing and who loves to talk a lot and say a lot of words, that 350 maximum was so hard. I really had to like edit heavily my questions. So you have to respond to 4 of 8 of the questions. You choose which 4 you want to choose. You need to be so strategic about the ones you choose. I recommend like brainstorming, not necessarily writing for all 8 questions, but you should definitely be like kind of brainstorming what you would talk about for each question. Like kind of just imagine, okay, if somebody asked me this question, what experience would I talk about? What thing would I bring up? And from that, think about which one you think is most true to you and will set you apart the most. So with that, I'm going to move into my essays. So to talk about the essays, like I said, you have to choose 4 out of the 8 prompts that they give you. You choose, they don't decide for you, it's all your decision. And yeah, 350 word max. 1000% do not go over that 350 word max. But also I wouldn't go too under it either. Like if you're doing like 100 words, babe, what are you doing? Yeah, I think for all of them, I was like at exactly 350 words. It's really not that much. It might sound like a lot, but it really goes by fast. It really goes by fast. I had to be so picky with the language that I was using just to get everything that I wanted to say in. So the 4 questions that I answered were: describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts over time. Then I did every person has a creative side, and it can be expressed in many ways: problem solving, original and innovative thinking, and artistically, to name a few. Describe how you express your creative side. I did describe the most significant challenge you have faced and the steps you have taken to overcome this challenge. How has this challenge affected your academic achievement? And think about an academic subject that inspires you. Describe how you have furthered this interest inside and or outside of the classroom. So those were the 4 ones that I did. Oh my god, that fly was huge. No, he can't stay in there. I need the wipe. I have nothing to hit him with. Ones that I did. Okay, we're gonna move on. So I actually asked my roommate and my good friend at UCLA. Her name's Abby. Shout out Abby. I can't concept this fly. But I asked her, what does she think set her apart in her applications to UCLA? Like, she was a very good student in high school, but that's not all that they look for. So I just asked her, like, what do you think helped you get in? And she said her essays. She feels like her telling the story helped her get into the school. And I fully agree. That's exactly what I did. I'm not going to read you all of my essays, but I could read you one. I could read you my favorite one. This is kind of personal. Oh my gosh. I am a writer. I love writing. I love English. And it's always been like my strong suit, like I said. And it's been something that I carry with me everywhere. So I wanted to make sure that my essays show that part of me. And I just wanted myself to bleed through these essays as much as possible, because they don't know what I look like. They don't know my story. They don't know anything about me necessarily. And so any chance that I could, I was giving them more information about me. Okay, so for the first question, describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, blah, blah, blah. So here's my essay. Manage the magic, my Disneyland-loving ASB and student council advisor exclaimed. The freshman retreat was a rite of passage at my Catholic school. It was 2 weeks before instruction began and was meant to introduce the incoming freshmen to our school through bonding games, deep conversations, and lots of fun. Since I was in student council, I was left in charge of 5 incoming freshmen. These students were my responsibility for the week as I mentored them and offered a friendly perspective as a junior. It was my second year assuming my role as a small group leader, yet this year proved to be more challenging than the year prior. Everything that had been warned could go wrong did. My small group would rather play around than have conversations, the freshmen were being disrespectful, and everyone seemed to be picking on another girl in the group. I was frustrated, to say the least. ASB and our school's religious group called the Life Team had been preparing for this retreat all summer, and it seemed like the new students didn't appreciate our hard work. Manage the magic. The mantra we'd repeated several times. My teacher explained that in Disneyland, the people in costumes were given a role to play for maximum entertainment. If Mickey Mouse took off his mask, the magic would be ruined. The same principle applied to my situation. If I showed my frustration or nerves, the retreat wouldn't have the desired effect. And so with that, I managed the magic. I shared my own experiences in an effort to help them feel comfortable in the environment, and the conversation finally evolved. I had an individual conversation with the girl that the group was excluding, and she opened up to me about her past. I was able to actively listen and comfort her during this hard time and offer her suggestions and advice. I realized that managing the magic isn't just about pretending everything is okay when it's not. It's about believing that things will get better and taking the steps to help others and potentially make someone else happy. So that was my essay. Let me tell you what I think is good about this essay. Can you see this fly though? So the first thing that I think set this essay apart specifically was the way that I decided to tell this story. Instead of answering the question in standard essay format, being like, a time where I was a leader, was when I was at the freshman retreat and I had to lead a small group and I did this and I did that and I told them X, Y, Z and yada, 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 and that is how I displayed my leadership. You don't want to do that. Nobody wants to read that. If you think, would you rather read an essay that somebody just wrote you about the Civil War, or would you rather read a story about the Civil War? You'd rather read the story. It's more provocative language and it gets you more tied into the story and it gets you more interested in what you're reading and it sinks in more. I remember way more things about books that I've read for fun than facts that I learned. And so that was the one thing, the type of language that I used, the way I told the story. I think it was more interactive than just a standard essay would have been. Also, the Disneyland phrase, manage the magic, it is a phrase that people actually use, and I knew that a lot of people love Disneyland, and like my teacher, shout out her, love her, but a lot of people love Disneyland. So on the off chance that somebody in the admissions office is reading my essay and they're a Disneyland person and they love Disney, if they read that, they might be super excited to read my essay. They're like, oh my god, I know that phrase, and they have this personal connection to the story and they feel it. Also, if somebody went to a Catholic school or is Catholic or whatever, adding these little innate details adds more dimensions to my story and might draw in that one person. And that one person might be make it or break it. I don't know necessarily that that's what happened and that's why I went in, but I definitely don't think that that hurts. Get as personal as you can, get as specific as you can in 350 words. Please don't go over 350 words. So giving in those little details about me going to a Catholic school, me having a Disneyland loving advisor who taught me that phrase, the other details that I included that you might not have noticed but will stick out to admissions officers, saying that I was in student council, I was in charge of 5 freshmen, it was my second year taking on this role. Yeah, just these little details that give them more insight to what position I was in and how I made the best of that situation, and also explaining how frustrated I was. This is a true story. I was genuinely so frustrated. I didn't know what to do, and this advice that my teacher had gave me literally helped so much. And just be honest, honestly. I know a lot of people lie, but don't lie. If you have to embellish, embellish, but don't lie. And so yeah, I just think that essay, I really enjoyed writing it, and I think that made a difference too. It felt different than what I knew other people were doing. So write something that's true to you. If you feel like you shine more in essay format, feel free to do essay format. This format is not for everybody, but like I said, I've been writing stories since I was a little girl. I write songs. It's kind of like half of my identity, and so also showing them this, I explained like how much I love English. Even in another essay, I explained that that was my subject of choice. That 4th question, I said that I love English, and I mean it shows in my writing. And you just want to give them as much information about you as possible in a story, in a singular experience. Another thing is UCLA does not look at the demographic of their applicants. I actually looked into this because I was really wondering about it. Obviously I'm Black, and that is a huge part of my identity. It has always been a huge part of my identity. It's never been anything that I've shied away from, and it will never be anything that I shy away from. And I felt personally that it was so important to my own story and how I grew up and the experiences that I've had, and I wanted to include that in my essays. Okay, I had to take a quick break because of my camera, but what I was saying was that I felt like my racial background and my cultural background was important for me to put in my essays, even in just like a small part of it, just because it's so fundamental to me. And so if you have something like that, whether it be your race or your sexuality, whatever it is, your gender identity, like feel free to include that, because they say that they don't look at these things, so they technically aren't supposed to know unless you tell them. And if you feel like it's important to understanding you as a person, add it. Let's get into just some final thoughts and let's wrap it up. These are probably like the best things that I could tell you about this whole process. First things first, I'm gonna say this again at the end. Do not stress yourself out too much about this. I promise you, you will end up where you're meant to end up. If it's a community college, it's a community college. If it's Harvard, it's Harvard. If it's nowhere, it's nowhere. Don't get so caught up in getting into the best schools or getting into UCLA or getting into wherever it is that you want to go that you miss the importance of this process. And truly, it's such a beautiful time to be in high school, and you're going to miss it in some capacity once you leave. I know people are like, oh, I hate high school. You're gonna miss it in some sort of way, and so you really want to make sure that you're enjoying these last final years of your time in this particular school or whatever school you go to. And you don't want to get so caught up in the future and in making sure that everything is perfectly aligned in the way that you imagine it to be. It will be nothing like you imagine it to be, and that is okay. I also wanted to say, if you're getting involved, get involved. Like, be as well-rounded as possible. Get in a sport, get in theater, get in music, get in random clubs. Do all that you can. Dip your toe in as many different things and make them as different as possible if you can. Consider leadership roles and community service hours. Like I said earlier, I've noticed that UCLA really prioritizes individuals that they think will enrich their school's community. They want diversity, effort, tenacity. You basically want to be a try-hard. Don't be embarrassed if people are like, oh my god, why are you in so many things? Just say, I just want to try everything. I just want to do all the things that I can do. There's an end goal, and if people don't understand that, that's fine. That's fine. It's okay if you didn't take every single AP class ever. I got to UCLA and I would talk to people and they'd be like, oh yeah, I took AP psychology, I took AP law, I took AP supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, and I'm like, your school offered that? Like, I only was ever offered 2 AP courses in my entire time. That's fine. That is okay. It's okay. I took 2 AP classes and I still got into UCLA. You don't have to have taken 25, because some schools just don't have that resource, and that's fine. That being said though, you want to be taking the most rigorous courses that your school is offering, and you want to be doing well in them. I think that's the part that people forget. You can't get into these courses unless you're doing well, and you definitely can't sustain them and add them to your repertoire and be proud of them if you're not doing well in them. Like I was saying about the essays, give them as much additional information as you can. You want to make sure you show your individuality outside of numbers and what courses you're taking. You want to make your applications as personal as possible. You don't have to worry about being the best or being different. They really, like, for real, just want to know who they are so they can figure out whether you fit in or not. When in doubt, just describe a challenge that you overcame, man. They will eat that up every time. Just describe a challenge. Just don't stress yourself. Take your time. Still enjoy your senior year, babe. You only get 1 unless you flunk. Then you get 2, or maybe 3, or maybe 4. I don't think they let you do 4. But college isn't everything, and UCLA definitely isn't. There are so many other schools that might be even more. My number 1 school, like, literally used to be Stanford, and I don't even remember why. Like, you will go where you're meant to go if you're meant to go. I promise, I promise, I promise. Also realize that the major that you choose will affect whether you get into the school or not. A lot of people don't take that into consideration, and I think that's partially why I wasn't so upset about, like, not getting into Stanford, not getting into other schools. It's because I know that a lot of people are applying for psychology majors at this school. So if your school that you're trying to get into has a really high volume of kids trying to get in that specific major, there is a higher chance that you won't be chosen, and that's fine. That's fine. You can, I think you get the opportunity to say, like, a second major that you would want, and you might get in based off of that major, but just know that these majors are so competitive and they can't let in everybody. So don't take it personal. Those rejections that you get, if you get any, don't take them personally. I also recommend Googling the application review process for freshmen at UCLA. That's literally all you have to type in. Maybe I'll try and link it below just to help you guys out. But they really go into detail on a lot of the stuff that I'm saying. I just kind of paraphrased it and summarized it for you and shared my own experience. But they really go into detail, and you'll get actual information from the source. And finally, breathe. Please, for the love of God, just breathe. Just breathe. You're so young. Do not stress yourself out so much. I literally would make myself sick worrying about these applications that I didn't even enjoy the process. I just felt so stressed and so on edge the entire time, and I felt like it made my successes dimmer. I felt like getting into UCLA, I was so excited, but really I was just so relieved. I was just like, thank God I have a good school that I can go to. Life is so much more than going to a good school. Do not stress yourself out too much about this, okay? It is important. It is your future. It's not everything. Please take your time and enjoy this. I love you. Thank you for watching. I hope you gained something from this video, even if it was just amusement of me trying to kill this fly. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I will answer them to the best of my ability. I do not know everything. Yeah, let me know if you want another video like this. I could really go into detail on my essays. my GPA, things like that. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, do all the things. I am a music channel mostly. I sing, I write songs, I do vlogs, I have UCLA vlogs, watch those. I'm just plugging you with everything because I don't know who you are watching this. You could be anybody. So just make sure you're checking me out. I might have other videos that you might like. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Take your time. Happy college application season. Yay. Okay. Bye, guys.